I understood the opinion at the time to be that Mickey Lowick, or since maybe 5, 8 years, 10 years in, because there was a scandal involved, that people fell back on the idea that Mickey Lolich actually had a better year. How can you block out 31 wins? I don't care about your sabermetrics. If they don't live up to that reality, they ain't worth anything. And I know they are. So it'll come up someplace as an exceptional year. I mean, what are we going to lose faith in humanity altogether instead? Oh, come on, man. Where's he at now? Where is he? Ooh. Oh yeah, I can't do it. I can't lower the camera anymore. No, I can't. Because of... yeah. It was running into the tripod, so I lifted the shaft. A minute, 19. Barely anything was happening. So I know for science. Yeah. I just lived. I got to drink the twins. And it was in a time when I remember running upstairs and saying, Mom and Dad, hey you guys, they're gonna have a Wednesday night at the movies, because the hit, the real huge phenomenon in television was Monday night at the movies. And maybe it was the second one, but maybe it was the third, and I don't know what day it was either, but I remember running upstairs about it. But, so there was nothing. Oh, and I have such a good story, but I don't want to tell it now. About what television was like back then. I mean, to show you what it was like. Eastern Montana call us unserviced for the most part. I went to my grandmother's house, Glendive, Montana, 51 miles away or 52, depending on which direction you were going. The signs did not correspond. It's like a person a person walking up in street clothes, and I'm talking about a leisure suit. I saw it later. I was lucky enough. Cable used to sell something you would come in and pay a bill for or something, but they would have a channel. They would have their own channel where they would have a camera that would turn around. Yeah, a camera that turned around in a circle, following these different. God, I'm losing track of my thoughts. Compromised, but I'll think of it later. But what it was is they had a radio station tied to the TV station. They were sister stations, and the first hour, the wake up hour, somewhere near noon on a Sunday probably, because it would have been a weekend we would have visited, most likely. More than likely. They would have a camera. Oh, now I'm thinking. But they would have a camera that would point down at the turntable, the record spinning on the turntable. That's what they would do. And, you know, the music, of course, would be there, but that's what they did for the first hour. And they only woke up about noon, as I remember. Like, that's part of the story. But anyway, eastern Montana, the only people who ended up there came from Minnesota. And my father, the way I got it from him was that they got tired of digging up trees all summer, so they went out to eastern Montana where there weren't any trees. But it was all the big thing where the railroads wanted to pay their, wanted their being there be profitable. So they gave away all this land, and they, of course, had phony signs or whatever. Obviously, had to know. The odds were against it. Nobody, you could say no, they didn't know, but they promoted this dry land. They promoted this idea that there could be dry land farming in eastern Montana. And later it became, sometime it became Great American Desert. I mean, there's some shrubbery, sagebrush, some kind of weeds, windswept. I've seen it. I know it's true. Anyway, the only people, my parents, had to be associated with the railroad. And they were high school sweethearts, my mother and father. And of course, both their parents were involved with the railroad. They were the only jobs. I mean, you could be a cattle rancher and have, animals wandering for acres. What a wonder. Sheep were a deal. I didn't know that. I knew more about rodeo than sheep, except for movies. Yvonne Doig, something under a blue sky, or it's an autobiography. Yvonne Doig. I think I can say with certainty he was a Montana writer, and jeez, what a life. God, spectacular. The physical environment he was involved with so affected it. It did. I'm not making it up. Prejudice. He wants to talk about it. It's 3-2. It's the Dodgers. Who is that? Yeah, that's a lot. I think we lost our American League squad to relief pitchers who had no status in those days. See? Jim Gillian again. Is that you think that's the Shadow of some Light standards? Don't look like it to me. It certainly. Come on! Oh yeah. All you can do is get up and walk away. You know, even though you know you're safe. Yeah. Wah wah wah. Oh, that's so gorgeously close. Perfect. Perfect for a World Series. Yeah, it's gotta be Light Standards. Shadow. I feel privileged, but I have to. You can't hear me anyway, so absolute beginners. Oh, I'm holding my own. Sounds like. The pitcher and the third baseman confer. Tony Oliva. This man was my absolute hero. Wow, what a coincidence. There's Sandy Koufax. So the stage is set. Body already. And Can't oh yes, we have to ask Tim. Let's talk to Tim. Not buying. Tony Oliva. He's still up. I love Tony Oliva. His life was like the person in my aquarium. It just contained me. I was all encompassed by, yeah. Nothing but the stage. I would have looked forward to and come awake for Oliva and been disappointed this last time.